Hey friends, welcome back. You are watching day 8 of our 13 Days of Halloween series here at Polly's Paper Studio. Now, if you're just joining in, you can find links for the first 7 days at the top of the description so you can get caught up. And for today's project, we're going to be creating this very sweet spiral bound mini album using supplies that I picked up from the Dollar Tree as well as the Howl collection from Fancy Pants Designs. And so this is one of my very favorite projects from this whole series that I'm very excited to share it with you. So stick with me and we will make this together. Okay, here's the supplies we're going to use to create our mini album today. And we're starting with this oh so sweet 6x6 paper pad. This is the Howl collection by Fancy Pants Designs. I picked this up from scrapbook.com and it has a ton of really sweet small patterns that are very traditionally colored and a little bit whimsical, like the cat that has the skeleton and the little ghost there. So I'm going to use almost this entire paper pad and I'll show you what choices I made as we get further along. I'm also going to be using that sticker set that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. I've pulled a few off already because I was kind of arranging them and seeing what I can save to distribute throughout the book. As long as I had the front cover, I can use these inside the album. And then I'm using the little spiral note card holder, and so this is another one of those items I picked up from the Dollar Tree. I know you guys are as excited as I am about this project because whenever I posted that haul, so many of you reached out to me and let me know that you had found this. So I'm very excited to be sharing my project created with this. And let me just tell you, y'all, this was one of my favorite projects to make in a really long time. It was so fast and so easy, and this is really something that you can put on your show, watch some football. This is all busy work and it turns out so cute, but it isn't complicated. There's no scoring, there's no folding of anything. It's all really straightforward. So just a couple of things to do to prepare this little booklet. And so originally this comes with 60 cards inside and I need to remove almost all of them. I went down to 12 cards, and so they're just a regular index card size, but they're perforated so that they will have enough to roll on that spiral. But what you want to do is take out all but 12, and it is very tempting to just go and rip these out like you would normally do out of a you don't want to pull too much and cause that spiral to lose its shape, or even worse, it could break. So I think the best plan is to just come in here with your scissor and cut right along. I've got a few of them here so you can see that it's not going to take all day. Just go and cut above the line where it's perforated, and then you can wiggle this little portion out and not have to pull each one out individually and risk damaging this little tablet. Okay, so another thing that I'm going to do first is pull out the dividers. And so this comes with 3 little tabbed dividers that would fit onto those spirals, so you could move them around if you were taking notes and make your own specific sections that worked for whatever you were working on. And so I want to include a couple of sentiments on these tabs, and I got out my old school Dymo label maker. This is so fun to use, but I rarely have an opportunity to pull it out except for when I'm working on my traveler's notebook. So I thought it would be fun, and I just made some words, and I'm a little bit limited in how wide those tabs are, but I got a couple that I think are going to be really cute. Now I had to cut them down, and so it will be a little bit of a challenge to get the backing off, but once I do that, I want to adhere it to a tab, but I don't really trust the adhesive that is on here to stay well and truly stuck down to this sort of glossy finish on these cards. So I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow on, and then I will position it where I want it. I think the adhesive that's just there will hold it in place pretty well while that glue sets up, but just to be sure, I'm going to bring in a couple of clothespins for each of them just to give it some pressure but not squish it so much that I lose the texture of that word. So I'll do that for all of them. So I'm just going to set these aside and let that glue set up while we continue working along. Okay, so the best thing about this size of an index card to cover is if you follow along the line where it's perforated, everything below that is just a standard index card. And so that is 3 inches tall by 5 inches wide, which means you can get 2 panels of the pattern paper from the 6x6 paper pad for each page. So that one paper pad is going to go a long way to cover our pages inside. And so I just went through and I cut all of the larger patterns. I separated them between the bigger all over pattern, and then some had a smaller, more compact design. And so I left those aside to become the border strips so that I would have a nice amount of variation. All the pages are going to be similar but different because we can mix and match all these patterns. And so what I did was I cut my 3x5s, and then I cut that whole stack of them. That was so fast and easy with my guillotine cutter. And then I came back in with my smaller patterns and did a 1x5 strip. So there's going to be 1 inch along all the bottom, and on my tablet, you see, I want to treat this as a 2-page layout because you're going to see 2 of the pages at one time. So in my mind, it makes sense for them to match. Now, I'm going to put my border strip at the top and the bottom, and so I have to be aware that some of these patterns are very directional. So you wouldn't want to put your cat head on upside down. That really wouldn't make sense. So just be aware that you have to strategically place all of these patterns. And so what I'm going to do is pull off the tape and show you the first set of pages. And this does not have a cardstock border. So my pattern paper is going all the way to the corner. I'm not leaving my traditional border, just fills the whole page. Now this one is a little bit smaller than the top cover, but I wanted it to match the size of the page down here. So that's just going to be a little bit extra of the cover showing for the top. So I've got that added inside the cover, and so now these are going to read as 2-page layouts. So what I want to do now is bring back my dividers so that I can place them every 3 cards. So I've got this divided amongst, so here's 1, 2, 3. I'll put my first one in. Just kind of clips onto that ring, and then 1, 2, 3, put the middle one in, I'm putting these in first because those divider panels are going to act as part of the 2-page layout. So I want to make sure that I keep all of my pattern combinations together. So now you can see how cute that is with the little tabs on it, and the first set of pages is all set. So I've got all kinds of different combinations of those pattern papers, and I just mixed and matched them so that I would have a nice variation. And I decided that I was going to begin and end with the cat one, so I'm going to reserve this one so I don't accidentally adhere it to another set of pages. Now, just like I did for the first set, I'm going to add all of these to the notebook, and then I'll come back in and we'll start finishing the pages. So I've got all of my pages added into this booklet now. And I did turn off the camera for that because I didn't see any sense in making you sit through all that, but it didn't really take very long. And because I had already put the adhesives on, I was just able to add them right in. And so that is why I think this is definitely a good football watching project, or if you have a program that you like to watch, put that on, or a podcast, because this is really just busy work. All you're doing is sticking things down, and there isn't anything complicated about measuring or any of that. Okay, so now we want to work on the cover, and I'll just go ahead and add the back piece on now before all the rest of the dimensional bits get added. And so I'm just putting on that gorgeous plaid with the stripe border, and then because this is spiral, I can open this right up and work on a flat surface, which is very handy. So I have my same pattern that I'm using on the back. I want to have my regular tape, but I'm going to add a little bit of this Tombow because the front of the cover has a clear plastic sleeve, and I just want to make sure that this is very well secured. That tape will hold it in place while the glue sets up so we can continue to work along. Okay, I brought down a couple of trims, and what I want to do is layer this pretty crocheted lace. This came from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and then I'm going to top it with some of this extra fancy holiday tinsel. So I just want to bring my glue line up from the very bottom because I want to press this lace into it, and this has that decorative border on the bottom, so I need the glue to be a little bit higher up. Then I'll measure out my tinsel. Setting it right into that glue. That's going to disguise that very top of our lace trim. Okay, so that's it for trim on the bottom. Now the fun part begins. We can start adding our Dollar Tree stickers. I've kind of played around with my arrangement till I got that just where I wanted it. So I want to use one of the clusters of pumpkins, the ghost, and then I also want to incorporate a glittery star here, and then I'll work this in so that it kind of overlaps a little. And I've also cut more of those stars with different colors of my glitter cardstock. So I'm going to bring in one of these for the front as well, and just tuck that in between the layers. So first thing is the pumpkin, and this sticker set has some raised dimensional areas on it, so that's a nice extra added detail. Putting that here. Then comes star number 1, and I can work some of those layers underneath the raised section, and then I'll just position these again so that I know where my next star should fall. So here is that ghost. I have just enough room for the boo, and I need to nestle some of those layers together so they overlap and I have room for all of those details. Okay, so there is the stickers. I've brought down some charms, and I'm going to add them as I usually do with hot glue and a button. Okay, that's all for the cover until the very end, and I'm going to put some sequins on, but I don't want to work with the inside pages while I have wet glue. So let's just continue to work on the inside. And so I want to reserve enough stickers so that I can incorporate them on the tab divider. So what I want to do is pick a star for each page and then a pumpkin set as well. And so I'm going to pick this smaller one and add it to this corner. On the stars, I'm only adding a little dollop of that glue in the middle because this is a fairly small work area, and so a picture may need to slide under that. It would also be a better finished look if this embellishment were on top. So I'm just going to add that with one of the little bits of hot glue in the middle. So let's flip to the next set. I'll do a silver star for this page, and then maybe this smaller cluster of pumpkins down here. So I'm balancing these finishing details left to right. Okay, one last divider. Might as well go for orange this time. I'll switch back to that corner and finish it with the orange pumpkin. So I've got a few left for my other pages, and I'm just going to distribute them as I work along. But there's a couple of additional stickers here. Maybe I will use these to give a little bit of extra detail for that one, and then I can also use some as I'm working along. Let's put this spider guy here as well, right up here on the corner. He's pretty fancy. Okay, so I should have enough stars left so that I can have one for each page. Because I don't have enough pumpkin stickers to have one for each sheet, I think I'm going to focus a couple on the first page, because this is the first one you'll see when you open the book. So let's put this one here and next to this one, and see if we have, yep, there's a star here that we can add to the bottom. Okay, so the next page, I have only 3 more pumpkins left, so I'm gonna put one in each of the sections. That way they will be evenly distributed. So I've got all of my stars added to the inside, and I finished up that sticker sheet while I was at it. And then I put a couple of lengths here of some pretty bold check ribbon. I just tied that around the spiral. I didn't fill them up too much because this is going to have to open pretty much flat, and so I didn't want to put too much bulk here, but that does add a lot of pretty pattern to the top. And I'm gonna add a couple of these sequins here, and that will finish off the cover. Even though this cover is pretty small, I think you would agree that we were able to incorporate quite a lot of my favorite finishing details. And so I picked that orange mix again and pulled out the metallic-y kind of ones, so that just added a little bit of extra sparkle. And I'm adding those with my Tombow. And here is the last one. Okay, that's all for day 8 of our 13 Days of Halloween series here at Polly's Paper Studio. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure you come back tomorrow for day 9. And now for the question of the day. Would you rather spend the night in a haunted house or walk through a dark graveyard? And so I think I am going to pick graveyard because I'm kind of interested in the history, and I think it would be sort of spooky but also entertaining and fun. So let me know in the comments what it is you would choose. Don't forget to leave me a big thumbs up for this tutorial, and remember, you can find links for all our social media sites in the description below. And if you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.